Hey, welcome back. It's Capital Gold Hunter, and I have a really cool video to show you today. I'm super excited about this one. So if you've ever wondered where you can find gold or paystreaks on a stream, creek, or river, then this is the video that you need to check out right now. There's a lot of content online trying to tell us where you could find gold on a creek, and it's a lot of good information, but I like to see it in real time or first person. So I was trying to figure out a way I can connect with my viewers and myself to try and demonstrate where the paystreaks might lie. And that's what this video is going to be all about. I made this diorama with 4 separate creek runs with different size bends and straightaways and some small pools. I'm going to put rocks and some screws in there that mimic logs, and we're actually going to see where the paystreaks are forming. I have a bunch of black sands from the last couple years that I've collected, and I have some lead weights that I spray painted gold. And we're actually going to follow this in real time and see where this paystreaks lies. Also, at the end of the video, I'll post a few pictures just to kind of show you the build process of this if you want to hang around and see that. If not, that's fine, but it was a fun project. It took a few days, and I think you'll appreciate the time it took to make this setup. Let's start. Now, the first creek bed we're going to work on is this one right here. I have a nice straightaway up here, a nice big bend, and then a smaller, more gradual bend right here. Now I've already put material in the creek bed and let it run for about 15 minutes and let it naturally develop a channel inside of this creek bend to show where some of the lighter and heavies have dropped. Now I haven't added the black sand or the lead yet, but I'm gonna do that right now, and we're gonna mimic it in low flow mode and then what happens in a flood stage when you get a large rush of water going through here. I wanna show you real quick before I add any black sands and lead to this creek. Now this is low flow mode, so let's say like midsummer, and as you can see, there's a channel developing right here on the outside of this bend, and then it flows this way, and then it comes down through here, it comes over this way, and then it follows in the middle and then goes out towards my tote at the bottom. I'm gonna drop some black sand right here in the upper part, and we're gonna let this naturally flow down the entire creek and see where it lies. All right, it's been a few minutes. I've let the black sands filter through the entire creek bed, and now we're starting to see where they're dropping out in the bed. This first turn right here, you can see there's a large concentration right over here after the bend has passed. Our channel's still on the outside of the bend, but a lot of our heavy black sand is sitting right here on that inside bend. At this bigger bend, you can see where the channel has formed on the outside of this bend, and we have a large deposit of black sand right here on this side of the bend. On our final bend, you can see the black sand starting to develop on the inside of the bend right here as it goes down, and then our main channel is right here on the outside of the bend. So that's pretty cool, seeing where the black sands lie on our bends. Now, I could do lower flow, but then I wouldn't be able to push any material down. So in a lower flow mode, so even more of a drought situation possibly, where these bends are, that would be more of a raised area, and you'll have access to that above the water line to get on those banks and pan for gold. Now I'm gonna take some of my gold colored lead and sprinkle this inside of my creek bed. Now my gold mostly sat right here, so now we're going to simulate a flood stage level. So let's turn this up. And let that flow. It's been a few minutes. It's taking a long time for the lead to actually make its way down the creek, but a lot of it has made its way down, so now we can actually show you where it dropped out of. So a lot of it pulled up in this first bend, and it just might be because it just got stuck there. But a lot of it's in the middle, and then as you can see, it drops to the back side of the inside of the bend right here. A lot of my black sands are still there. All the lighter material is gone now. At this bigger bend, you can see that some gold formed right here, and then some collected right here on the inside of this bend as well. Nothing stayed in this channel where the faster moving water is, and that's pretty typical. Now you can find gold up here, say it was a super flooded event. You will find gold up here, but a lot of it will drop out at your lower pressure area down here where you have slower moving water. And then at the final bend, you can see our heavy black sands are still present, and some of the gold is right here on the back side of that inside bend. So from what we can see with this demonstration, the gold will kind of stick to the inside bend and be more towards the back of the bend where it finally goes out from that bend. All right, now we're going to focus on our second creek bed. So this one features a very large, sharp U-turn. I have a channel developing right here, and then it goes to the outside, over here, through this way. I have a nice gravel bar developing right here on the inside of this bend. Then it goes more into a straightaway, and then it goes into a sharper bend at the bottom here, and you can see the channel is flowing on the outside, kind of goes this way, and then towards our outlet over here. All right, let's add some real heavy black sands up here and let this flow down for a few minutes and see where it drops out at. Okay, I want to show you real quick while it's working its way down. You can actually see it starting to develop on the inside of this very sharp U-turn. Nothing is on the outside here, but it's slowly making its way down the inside of this bend. 10 minutes have gone by. Most of our black sand has settled out. It's still coming down a bit, but we can get a really good look at where all the black sand sits. So this first bend right here, nice bit of black sand all throughout here. Channels well defined. And then in our big U-turn bend, all of that black sand sitting on the very inside. Check it out. You can actually see it still flowing down, making its way down our creek. All the light stuff is over here where our channel is forming. As we make our way this way, this is a bit of a choke point. The black sand sitting right in the center. And then at this bend right here, all of our black sand is making a nice bar right here. Channel goes this way. As we make our way down further on the creek, you can still see that the black sand's kind of hugging this inside of this bend. Right here is a large chunk of black sand, and it follows down this way. You can actually see it crisscross from this side to this side over here, as you're witnessing with this bend right here. All that black sand is gathering, making a nice pile right here, and then flowing down on the low pressure side of our bend. So as you can see, it definitely wants to hug the inside of our bends, which we already knew that. That's pretty typical, but now you're getting a really good view of how it actually flows and sits in there. So in a lower flow mode, you can guarantee on the inside of this bend, when this is above the water line, you'll have a nice Paystreaks sitting right here, up here, where all the inside of your bends are lying, especially in this U-shape. If you can get on this U-shaped bank, I start panning all throughout here. This would be perfect to find some gold. Now we're going to add some lead to our mixture here and see where this eventually drops out. This is going to take a while, but it eventually get there. Okay, most of my lead stayed right there. It didn't want to move at all. Some did go down, and I'll show you where that collected. So this is the first bend right here. I got a chunk right there, but there is some pieces on the inside of the bend right there, as expected. I have a chunk right there. That was a kind of a bigger piece. And then on the outlet of this really sharp U-turn bend, I have some lead collecting right here. And then it did drop into a few spots in this narrow passageway right through here, just because there's some holes and some divots. And then at this other bend right here, there's a few sitting right over here. Let's go over here a second. Any down here? Yep, there's some right over here. Not very many. A lot of the gold didn't get down this far just because of my flow. Here's some right here. And then here's some right here. Right around there. Okay, now let's put it in flood stage and see what happens. All right, now as you can see in a flood stage, a lot of our gold stayed up here where I first dropped it off at, right at this inside bend. Still got the black sands here. At our big U-turn, we have a lot of black sands at the beginning of the bend that stayed, with our lead collecting right here. And you can still see the black sands all out through here, lead dropping out right through in this spot. Our channel goes narrow here, and as you can see, we have a lot of black sands staying over here on this side of the bend, with some lead dropping out over here. As we make our way down, you can see on this bend again, nice gravel bar right here with all of our black sands, with some lead dropping out at the back side. And then over here at our very tight bend, you can see the same thing as well. A lot of our gravels sit right here with our black sand, and our gold's washing down this way and staying put. So after a flood, once the flood waters recede and we get back to normal levels again, you can see how all of your gravel bars have changed, but still your heavies are being pushed to the inside of our bends, as you see like this. And it just starts to collect more and more and more and sits on bedrock. Now we're going to focus on our third creek bed, which flows into our second creek bed right here. We already know what happens down this way with our Paystreak and our lead, but let's try and see now what happens up here at these S-curves. So we have a nice gravel bar forming right here with our channel on the outside. Another gravel bar on the inside of this second bend, channel right here. And then on our third bend, we have a gravel bar sitting right here with our channel on the outside. So now let's go ahead and throw some black sands in there and see where our possible Paystreak might lie. Okay, it's been a few minutes. You can actually see the black sands forming on the inside of this bend right here, this bend right here, right here, right here. And what's interesting enough is that where it kind of fans out and flattens, a lot of the black sands developed right here before this next curve. So if you have an instance where you have a lot of curves north of you or upstream of you, there might be a good chance you'll find a lot of gold deposits downstream where it fans out and the water has time to slow down. And then as we keep going, again, remember this was on the second creek bed, we still have our deposits forming down on the inside bend of here, all the way through on the back side of that. Now let's add some lead and see where that falls into our creek bed. All right, about 10 minutes have passed. You can see that a lot of the gold that I dropped off just kind of stayed right there, which is expected. You know, it's pretty heavy, but some did migrate down to the bend right here. And then there's some down in this area. There's a couple pieces that ended up right here, but really nothing in our outside bend right there. We had a few chunks land up in here. And then again, down here where it fanned out and it slowed down into this next curve, we have some that dropped in along this paystreak right here. So you can definitely tell where the paystreak could be if you're working on a creek with this type of bends. Now let's put it into a flood stage and see where everything goes. Okay, now we're in flood stage. You can see a lot of the gold just stayed right here. We still have a small gravel bar. On our next, we have a nice gravel bar right here. All the gold stayed right there. And then again, right here, that black sand gravel bar stayed. And then down here at that curve, now you start to see it's washing away, but the gold is staying right here on this inside bend. And then it continues down, and we have the same thing as the second creek forming down here with the gravel bar sitting here. So once the flood is over and the water recedes, you can come back and you can be able to get gold and find your paystreak in these same areas as before when you're in low flow. It just, now we have a replenishment of gold from our vein, wherever it is up here, it washed gold down and deposited more into these corners. Now we're going to focus on our fourth creek, which is pretty much a straight shot with one small curve right here and then a long meandering curve down this way. And I added some screws and bolts in here to act as logs to kind of show you what happens if there's a tree in the river or a creek bed, and it's going to form vortexes that actually can collect gold. So this has been running for about 5 minutes now with just my light gravels, and you can already start to see where the channels are developing. We have it again on the outside of the bend. Inside the bends are sediment, and then you can see where we have clear pockets on the front sides, so downstream sides of our logs, here, 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 here. Anywhere I put these, it creates a spot behind it where nothing is really going right now. And then the outlet right there, it's just pretty much, you know, on the little bit on the inside of the bend, but pretty consistent covering over the whole bed of the creek. All right, now we'll add some black sands and see where this falls in our straight path creek bed with our logs. All right, our black sand has finally gone down. We have a gravel bar here. We have a gravel bar on the inside of this bend right here. But as you can see, we had some black sand develop right here, and then after our first log, it ended up right here. Now on this piece here, we had some black sands developing here, but now you're starting to see it kind of vortex in this area right here, and then continue down to be in front of this log right here. And then the same thing with this log. This one's pointing upstream. We have a concentration of gravels, heavy gravels, right here. And then as it made its way down the rest of the creek, it just kind of washed away. But you can still see kind of a darker line in the middle of the creek right here. But as you can see, the black sand is tending to actually stay in front of our logs, which surprises me. I thought they would all end up being on the back side right here. So that's new to me. I always go on the downstream side of like rocks and logs to look for gold, thinking that it's like a riffle where it's going to stay, which, you know, gold will stay there. But seeing this now, I see a lot of it collecting in front of the logs. So that makes me want to change a bit the way I prospect. Maybe check the front of rocks and logs before I just go to the back side, because as you can see, there is not much on the back side of these. So let's add some lead and then we'll put it into high flow mode. A lot of our gold stayed up here because that's where I dropped it, but again, we're having same consistencies. We have lead showing up right here, lead showing up all down through here. And then we actually have a bunch of lead sitting in front of this log, and this log. Nothing is coming over here. I haven't seen anything drop out here yet, but a lot of it's collecting in front. I don't see anything behind these logs as of right now. So let's put this into a flood stage and see if anything changes with that. All right, we got some high flowing water, a lot of the gold or lead up here, washed downstream. Got a good collection right here. Got our nice bar all the way from the beginning of the bend to our first log, a bunch of gold. And now look, we're actually getting some heavies behind our screw here, which is our log. And I see a couple gold pieces or lead pieces down this area. Also in this one too, I see a gold or a lead piece right there. I see some lead over here, so it actually started changing, so it might have just pushed from here over to here and down. And then we have still gold or lead over here, in front of as well. So in a high flood stage, it actually moves the gold and some heavies to the downstream side of any obstruction, so rock or logs. And it's pretty evident in this video right here, especially with this log up here, right in the middle of our main channel flow. A lot is getting collected right here. But again, I'm actually really surprised. A lot of our heavies and gold stay in front of our logs, which I did not expect at all, especially this one. Check this out. That's pretty cool. I went ahead and shut down all the water flow, and this is kind of cool because we can see what it looks like if we take all the water out of all of our creek beds. And as you can tell, again, every inside bend you have a lot of gravel showing up, making gravel bars. And you can clearly see where the channel of water is flowing throughout the entire stream bed setup, which is really cool. And we could tell a lot more closely now how our lead formed on the back sides of these bends. Like look up here, all of the lead sat right there on that bend. Right here, right here, right here. That's mostly because I, sprinkled it right here, but a lot of it just kind of stayed right here. But that's really cool. And here's our logs. So you can see how the sediment stayed on the back side of the logs and in the front side. All right, there you go, folks. So what do you think? That was pretty cool, right? Now this took me like 5 to 6 hours to shoot because I had to watch all the gravel slowly make their way down, and the lead took a long time for it to finally reach its final resting point. But it was well worth it. We were able to see in real time where our Paystreaks and our gold could possibly be found in a creek, stream, or riverbed. Now, we all kind of figured out that on our inside bends, we're gonna get a lot of heavy materials and gravel bars forming, which is expected and cool. But I was really surprised with the logs. I did not expect to see the heavies form in front of the logs versus the downstream side. I've always went downstream, thinking it's like a sluice box, right? Well, now I'm gonna start going upstream. Now, I'm not saying that you won't find gold downstream, because you most certainly will, but there might be more upstream. I know in my case, I probably missed a lot of gold because I've been just so focused downstream of those obstructions. So that's gonna change a lot of things for me, which I'll do in my next video down the creek. I'll try upstream of one of those and see how well I do. Please leave me a comment down below if you have any questions, comments. I'm not gonna break this down right away, so if you have any other suggestions, I'll keep it and we can make a new video and rerun more tests. I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, like the video, and if you can, please subscribe. It goes a long way, it's free, and it helps my channel out a lot. Until next time, thanks for watching this video, and keep getting that gold.